Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Sunday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let me set up this room real quick and then we can get started. All right, so let me finish setting this room up real quick and then we should be good to go. So let's see, 28th. February 28th, about to be March. All right, looks like while that's getting ready to set up, I'm going to post these links up real quick. And then everyone can join in on the room. So let me just get this on the Instagram as well. See once it's done. All right, cool. Looks like it's pretty much done for the most part. Let me just finish setting this up right here. And then I will send out this, this link to you guys. All right, well, looks like we're good. Let me send this link out real quick and then we should be good to go, guys. So. Out to you guys real quick. Weekly chart. Oh, why it's not coming up. Let's go back here. Chart. Here we go. Got that to you guys there. That's you guys there. There as well. And lastly, right there. All right, cool. So let me just get this sent out to our social media real quick. And then we should be good to go. So let me get this sent out to our email as well. Looks solid. Got that sent out. Let me just get this on the 20th. On the Facebook real quick and Instagram. And then we should be good, guys. So we got that there. And then I think the last place is just our Instagram. Real quick, let me activate the chat. Get this on the IG real quick. Pull my charts. One last place is the Instagram for you guys here. Start this load up real quick. Post this up and we should be good to go. All right, guys, perfect. So looks like we're ready to go. Let me just make sure it's posted on here real quick and we should be good to go. Hey, what's up, Dennis? Hey, Mark. Hey, Smokes. Hey, Matt, everybody. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. It is Sunday. The market is now slowly opening up and I'm ready to have another great week, guys. So it is NFP. So the volatility is going to be really high, meaning there's going to be a lot of opportunities for scalps this week. So hopefully you guys are ready. But anyways, let me go ahead and post up these links real quick and then we can get started. See, everything else is on here. All right, looks solid to me. Let's get these links posted. Over here, looks like the links are good. All right, guys, nice. So welcome everybody. So if you guys are new here and you guys haven't sat in on any of the sessions yet, basically what we do on Sunday is I mark up all of the Forex charts for the week so that we can get started, identifying trades for the intraday sessions, but also be looking at some scalps. So I'm currently looking at some scalps here for US 30. Looks like price is currently pushing up right now. I have these zones marked up right here. So basically what I'm waiting for here is I think it's going to be bullish, but we're going to have to wait for that. I'm going to wait for price to push up slightly, come back down, and then provide some entries for us to scalp upwards. until then, we are going to, I'm just going to be looking at the Forex chart. So if you guys have any questions, you guys are welcome to put them in the chat and I can analyze anything for you guys. But I mean, for the most part today, it's going to be a slow day. Obviously it is Sunday, so the market's not fully open yet. And we'll be looking for, some entries along the way. Hey, Biko, how's it going? Sam said Sunday, Monday for me. Do you want tomorrow's prices? Yeah, no, Sam, because you're, I think you're located in Australia, right? So you're actually, you're a day ahead, like 16 hours ahead or something like that. Hey, Ryan, or John morning, or not morning, afternoon. I'm like all over the place today. Yeah, definitely. Matt said, we are ready, Shawn. Blessed week for great people. Yeah, definitely, guys. I'm ready for another great week because last week was pretty good. I'm not sure if you guys followed, the recap that we had last week. So I posted a recap here for, everyone's profits, and, it was massive. Like it's crazy how many profits everyone, like literally, I feel like more people locked in more profit than me. Just looking at everyone's profits from last week. So I was just looking down the list here. Sisuga actually, he sent me his profits today. He actually bought US 30 once it crossed above here, and he's currently holding it. He's in profit about 700 to kick off the trading week. But just looking at profits from last week, like Jazz over here locked in like 2,600 on Friday. These are just Friday profits. And it's insane. Like even Eric here, Eric locked in about 2,300. Jazz already showed you them. Cheryl over here locked in about 9,000. I mean, it's pretty crazy how much profit everyone's locking in. And it's, it's not even me, it's everyone else. So I know most of you guys had a great week last week. And, we're just here to do it again. So anyways, let me go ahead and start marking up these charts for the Forex pairs. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm just going to be going down the Forex watch list and marking up these zones real quick. So I'm probably going to focus on that first before I get to your questions. So I'll do a quick breakdown of, all the pairs here for our Forex pairs. And I'll start looking at your questions a little later. Let's see here. Sisuk said driving and trading. I'm not trying to do it especially around. Dang, all right. So Sisuk's scalping US 30 right now. He took a buy off this. And let me see where his target's at. His target is at all right. So yeah, Sisuk's target is at 31,154. So I'll mark that up right here. Let's see. 31,154. Wow. So he's pushing up pretty decent. Oh, he's almost there actually. His TP's right there. So that's what he's trying to hit. And we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, let me go ahead and look at the Forex pairs over here. And I'm just gonna go down the list. So I'll start with OddCAD. Just gonna make sure the zones are the same as last week. Because if they're different, then we'll make changes. If not, there really isn't a reason for us to really go through and mark everything up a second time when it's already, when the zone's already there. I'm just going to adjust that for OddCAD. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw these zones. Once I'm done drawing the zones, I'll go back and I'll actually analyze them. Because like right now, there's just no point in us analyzing them when the market's barely opening. So odd CHF is good. Odd JPY, this needs to get redrawn. So I'll redraw these zones right here. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw my my zones here for odd JPY. So only if the zones have changed a lot over the weekend, then obviously I'll go and redraw the zones. But if not, there just is no reason for us to redraw everything if they're pretty much the same thing. So I'll draw those right there. Draw those right there. Down right there. There. Down right there. And then you get the higher zone, so we'll go on the 8 hour. Nothing there, so let's go on the daily. Actually, do we even need a higher zone? No, we don't. Okay, so this is it for odd JPY right here. We don't even need higher zones. So our odd JPY is fine. Let me just go down the rest of the list here and just mark all these up real quick. So it looks like our odd NZD that we marked up yesterday played out right here, full TP. I'm just gonna make sure these zones are on proper before I continue on. Take that off. Yeah, so the zones look pretty solid to me. No need to redraw them for odd NZD, odd USD. Yeah, this one just moved down a little bit, but not to too necessary to update them. CAD CHF, looks like these are pretty much fine. The only difference are these upper zones right here. So like I mentioned, when you don't have those upper zones, go on the higher time frame, 8 hour, nothing there. Daily, nothing there. Weekly, we do have some zones right here. So I'll just go ahead and draw these zones right here so that we can identify these. Let's see. So I think that's about it for CAD CHF. Go back on the 4 hour. Yeah, nothing there really. Check this real quick. Biko's asking, are you sending the Zoom link out? Yeah, I'll send the Zoom link out for you guys. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna scalp very much today because the market's barely opening, but I'll send the link out to you guys anyways. You know, just so that you guys can have access to it. Oh, whoops, wrong button. Grab this real quick. Yeah, I'll send you guys a link just so you guys can sit in, you know, obviously on the real-time live. There you go. Send that out to the premium groups and you guys are good. All right, cool. So there's a link for that, Biku, if you want to hop in on that. It's not necessary because I don't think we're really going to scalp very much. But I mean, if we do, it will be available to you guys. So just looking at that there, go ahead and cover these right here. You get these upper zones over here for CAD JPY. See, there's nothing there. Nice, Gensel made it into the room. Where's Gensel at? Joining. All right, cool. So let me get this upper zone right here for CAD JPY. All right, looks like we're pretty much good with that. Go back to the 4 hour over here. Turn that off. Looks pretty solid to me. CHF JPY. Yeah, it doesn't really look like the market really moved too much, you know, the end of last week. So there wasn't really many zones to redraw here. Let's see. That looks solid. Lower zone down here. Let's see. So this zone right here is kind of relevant at this point because we do have the upper zones. Let's see this. I got to delete this one. Extend this one down a little bit. All right, that's done. Here's CHF. Solid. Just gonna get this upper zone right here. I'm assuming that's going to be the zone right there on the weekly. Nothing on the daily. Yeah, looks like the zone for the weekly right there. Back on the 4 hour. EG. So these upper zones look fine for EG over here. You can see how choppy it is up there. But these lower zones aren't necessarily there. So let me just go in the higher time frame to see if they're there. And it looks like we're halfway down the watch list already. So we're not going to waste too much time on these zones. I just want to mark them up so that we can start looking for trades for the week, obviously. So there's EG right there. Let's move on to the next one. And just a reminder, guys, if you guys are just joining in, you know, just a reminder that this is NFP week, so volatility is gonna be really high. So it'll probably be fun for us, you know, with our scalps. For these intraday trades, it might be a little risky, but we're still gonna take them if we see any, you know, obviously if we see any entries pop up. But I think the scalp should be fun. The scalps, we should be able to get in and out of trades pretty quickly. All right, so that's it for EGA. This one right here. I think other than that, I think we're pretty much good for the most part. Euro NZD. All right. So what I'm doing here, guys, because I see a lot of people just joining the room. Right now, guys, I'm just marking up these zones. After I'm done marking them up, I will go in and actually analyze each Forex pair to see what I see, like what I think is going to play out, during this week. Or, I mean, the market's not fully open yet, so we can't really determine that until market's in full swing. But I'm going to try my best to just give you guys an idea of what I see happening, this week before we kick off NFP. So let's see. Those zones are good. Why does this zone look like that? I can just connect these two right here. All right. So GA over here, make sure these are cool. Those are solid. Looks like this one just extended up a little bit, extended below. Looks good. I delete this one. Delete this one. And delete this one. So other than that, let me check the upper zone to see if there's anything there for the 8 hour. So the next zone is up here. Actually, one more zone right here. Solid. So those are solid. Go to GCAD over here. See if there's anything else over here real quick. Delete this one. Redraw this one over here. Is anything else there? All right, update this one. There. All right, let me get these higher zones for GCAD over here. See GCAD on the 8 hour. Nothing there. I should check the daily first. Nothing there. Go on the weekly. All right, so looking at the weekly here, it looks like we have a couple of zones that are available right here. This one, and this would be the next one up here. All right, so the zones look fine. GCAD, GCHF. And so like price kind of pushed pretty far last week, and that's why the zones are super far off. So let me see if I can find these zones over here on the 8 hour. And then the daily, nothing there. The weekly. So I'm just gonna mark these up real quick. And then we can dive deeper. All right. GCHF, GJ. This is one that a lot of you guys were looking at last week. GJ, it's still bouncing within this range right here. So I think these 4 hour zones are cool. We just got to get this upper zone over here. So there's nothing on the 4 hour. We'll go on the 8 hour, the daily, nothing there, the weekly. And obviously you can see right here that this weekly zone is actually pretty huge. Back on the 4 hour. All right, GN right here. See if these zones are cool. Those ones are pretty decent. Let's see if there's anything here. Middle zone. All right, so that's it for GN. Next one, GU. Looking at GU, I think this is fine. Yeah, GU's good. Almost done, guys. Almost done for you guys that actually want me to like analyze stuff, because I know right now this is kind of boring for you guys because I'm just drawing up these zones. But this is all part of the bigger picture. You guys have to understand what these zones are. If you guys don't know where these zones are, you're probably going to get burnt throughout the week, getting caught in a lot of these reversals. And that's the main reason why we draw these zones, because these zones are important when determining, where to trade and where not to trade. Because if you guys miss these zones, odds are you're going to get caught in a lot of reversals. So NZD CAD's done right there. NZD CHF, Let's check this real quick. It's like these are pretty solid for the most part. We just got to get those upper zones. 8 hour, nothing there. Daily, nothing there. Weekly, one zone right here, one zone right here, and one zone right over here. NZDJPY. Sorry guys, my dog's barking. That right there, and then I think that's it for the most part for these. Take this off, it's relevant, but this one there. All right, so that's it for NZDJPY. NZDUSD, let's see, relevant. Those zones are done, and then we got this zone right here. All right, cool. I think that's it, and then we have 3 more pairs right here, and then we can start analyzing. Let me just redraw these zones. These zones are like super messy for USD CAD. So if you guys are trading USD CAD last week, obviously you can see the choppiness here throughout the entire market. So this is why these zones are important. So I'll show you real quick why they're important, because the thing is, if you're trading you're trading certain areas here and you didn't identify these zones, you probably would have gotten caught in some whipsaws, or price bounced off the zone and came right back up, like right here. Because I did see some people trading USD CAD last week, and a lot of people got caught in, you know, some sort of whipsaws. But if you guys had these zones drawn up already, you guys wouldn't have gotten caught in those. So if I take these off the chart right here, you can see how price bounces off these zones pretty accurately, right? So if you're taking like some sells here, you probably wouldn't want to take any more sells here, because you can see obviously from this point it was respecting the zone and it shot up super heavily. So just keep that in mind, you know, and this is the main reason why we draw these zones initially in the beginning of the week, so that we don't get caught in moves like that. So that's it for USD CAD. Next up is USD JPY, or sorry, USD CHF, and the last one is USD JPY, and that'll be it. And then we can start looking for scalps and or analysis for certain, you know, Forex pairs, if you guys have any questions. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat right now, because I'm almost done analyzing these. So if you guys want me to analyze anything specifically, I can do that for you. So USD JPY, let me see if these are okay. So yeah, these are pretty solid. Let me just check to make sure this upper zone is fine. And then after that, I can get to your guys' questions. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. So we're done with these zones here. For all these Forex pairs, I can start answering questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the YouTube chat or in the Zoom, and I can start looking at them for you. But other than that, I'm gonna start looking for some scalps here. So let's see. Nice. So CSUG, where's CSUG at? Great. So CSUG's TP just hit. If you guys saw that earlier, I was mentioning that CSUG took these scalps for US 30. He just hit full TP right there, where his target was, for 813. So nice. Congrats on that, CSUG. Let me nice. Shout out on the live session. Great way to kick off trading week. All right, guys. So nice profit off CSUG right there. He took US 30 on market open. He locked in about 813 to kick off the trading week. And now I'm going to be looking at some questions. So look, we have one question from Naresh. He's asking, can you please analyze gold and NASDAQ? So I'll analyze NASDAQ for you, both you, Naresh and Zolani, and for Jao as well. So I'll analyze gold first for you guys. So let me just go to gold real quick. So first question is for gold. So here's gold right here. I'm going to take everything off the chart, and then you guys will see how I analyze everything from scratch. So let's get started. So first and foremost, I'm going to zoom out from here. Here's a naked chart. There's nothing on the chart. First thing I do is I turn on the K2SR indicator. Once I turn on the K2SR indicator, I'm going to draw my zones to identify these rejection points. So we got that lower zone right there, this zone right there, this zone right here, this zone down the middle, another one right over here, and lastly this upper zone right over here. So you guys can see from the bottom here, there's no zone, right? So in order to get that lower zone, you go in the higher time frame. So we're on the 4 hour, we're going to go to the 8 hour. Nothing there. I'm going to go in the daily. There's nothing there. I'm going to go on the weekly. And you guys can see that the next zone is actually super far down. So just looking at this from here, you guys can see that, the next support is actually super far down. So I could probably see gold dropping for a while now. I mean, it's not going to be a smooth drop down. It's not just going to go straight down, right? It's going to bounce around this area here. But, the next support is way down here at, let's see, it's at 1,499. So it's got a long way to go. But obviously it's not going to be a smooth move down. So just looking at gold here, I'll just analyze it and show you guys what I see here. So once I have all the zones drawn up, what I do next is I turn on the momentum indicator. So turning on the momentum indicator, you can identify the direction of momentum, right? So you guys can see from this move here, if you guys followed my analysis, what was it, last week? I mentioned that if price was to break and close past its structure, it was going to drop, right? And that's basically what happened here. So first we'd identify the rejections. We have the rejection off the K2SR zone up here. We have the K2 momentum signal here indicating that a sell was going to sell off, right? So we have the rejection, the sell off right here. What happens from that point is it pushes down to this next structure. As price breaks and closes past the structure, it continues the same pattern. So right here, broke and closed past structure, it pushed down to the next structure down here, right? What happened when it broke again right here? It dropped again, right? So it's the same pattern, just repeating itself. You guys can see it goes both ways. We have the sell right here. Right before that, we had the buy. You had the rejection off this point right here. We had the buy signal right here. We had the break and close past structure right here. And then from that point, it pushed up, right? So this is why it's important that we draw these zones, because if you have the zones here, you can identify basically any trade. You can see that it bounces back and forth, right? Price respects these zones pretty nicely. Like, for example, here, this is the previous move. So the previous move here is we have a rejection from this point. We have, or actually, yeah, well, there was a rejection here, but then it ended up pushing up higher. So this is where the move actually started. We had the rejection off this point. It came down. You see that we had a sell signal here, right? So looking at momentum here, if you have the rejection, you just identify the direction of momentum. Right here, obviously, there's a pullback. But the main key is that we identify when price breaks and close past structure. So right here, it broke and closed past structure, and then it pushed down to this point, right? So it's the same pattern that just keeps repeating itself. I mean, this is the same strategy we've been applying for years now, and it works perfectly fine. That's why we continue to execute it. So just looking at gold right here, obviously we have a sell bias here, right? So what I'm looking for here is I'm waiting for price to come back down, because obviously I see that over time it's going to keep pushing down, because the next support isn't till way down here. It's got a long way to go, but it's not going to be a smooth drop, right? Let's go back and see when price broke this structure in the past. So I'm just going to zoom out real quick, and then let's see. So price hasn't broke structure below this area in a long time. So let me go on the daily chart and see. I don't think it's even okay. So the last time we're not going to look at this right here, because this is price going up this direction, right? We're looking for when price came down. So looking at this here on the daily chart, you can see that we have this area drawn up, this zone. If we go back from here, this is 2021. If we go back all the way over here, the last time it broke across the structure was back in 2012. So, just looking at data here, if you look at when price broke structure in 2012 here, this is October of 2012. When price broke structure right here, what happened? It pushed down to the same structure that I drew right now, right? I just drew that structure today, and you can see that it pushed all the way down to here, exactly where I mentioned, right? What's this number? 1,499. So just looking at this here, look how it dropped from this point in 2012. It dropped all the way down here. It wasn't a smooth drop down, but it came down, like it came down and then it retraced up. So let me just show you real quick. So you can see price comes down, it retraces back up, but then it continues down, right? It completes the move. It took a while for it to complete the move. It took a couple months actually. So from November, let's see, from October 2012 up until here, it took about 182 days. But you can see this long-term move right here, right? So if I go back to where price currently is, see how price broke structure right here? It's going to do the same thing. It broke structure again right here. And then eventually it's going to come down to test this structure right here, just like it did in 2000. What was it? Again, let me go back. It was 2012, right? So the same pattern right here, broke structure and it came back down. So that's basically what I'm looking at here. I'm anticipating this to come down and test this structure down here. You know, obviously it's going to take a long time, but eventually it's going to have to come down here, right? Because history just repeats itself. It happened, was that 2012? So that's about 9 years ago. So just looking at gold here, I mean, this is basically what I see happening. And the reason for that is that I see the US dollar gaining in strength too. Because if you look at it, like if we match this with the DXY over here, you can see that the US dollar is technically pretty, I mean, it's starting to gain in strength, right? So it started pushing up right here on the 25th, and it's just pushing up higher and higher. So going on the daily chart over here, you can see that the dollar was weak. It's been weak since COVID. So COVID happened here in March, right? So from March, it came all the way down, and now it's starting to push back up right here. So, I mean, we'll see how, like, what happens from here, but just matching this, because obviously the DXY moves opposite of gold. So if the DXY is, say if this is going up. So if this is going up, oh, sorry, wrong tool. So if this is going up right here, the DXY, then gold will go down right here because it's paired against the US dollar, right? So if the US dollar is strong, this will go down. If the US dollar is weak, this will go up. So just keep that in mind, guys. You know, when you're identifying this, you have to use other confirmations too. Don't just look at gold, look at other things that match with it. So if you're looking at this here, you're gonna match it with the US dollar, obviously, which is the DXY. It's going to indicate, you know, the strength of the US dollar here. So if the US dollar continues to strengthen over time, then this should continue to drop. However, something happens. I mean, you know, if you guys have been following the news, I think didn't the US like bomb Syria or something recently? So like, for example, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. So with this stuff going on over here, you know, with the nuke talks and stuff like that, if the US goes to war, it's going to strengthen the US dollar in some regard, because, you know, that's usually what happens when the US goes to war. So if that happens, then you know, this is probably gonna continue up, and then this is probably gonna continue down. But you know, we're thinking too ahead here, right? We're just like, that doesn't really matter to us. Like what we're looking for here is to confirm these movements. But just looking at gold here, you know, it played out exactly how we mentioned. So I think from this point over here, this is probably going to continue on. But you know, like I mentioned, it's not going to be a smooth move. So I wouldn't just enter a sell and then be like, oh, it's going to drop. Like, don't like pray it's going to drop, right? Wait for a confirmation. Like what I'd probably wait for here is for price to come back up, break into this structure, and then close back below here. And then I would take a sell. Or what you can do as well is you can put a sell stop at this low right here, at this low of this candle, the body. And then as it comes back down, because we don't know if it's going to come all the way up here. It could come up here, it might not. And if it doesn't, and it swings back down, you can have like a sell stop placed right there, so that as soon as price comes back down, it'll trigger your order, and then you'll just, you know, you'll be in the trade. So that's one way of doing it. But you know, obviously we don't want to think too ahead of time, obviously, right? You want to wait for those confirmations, and once your confirmation is filled, then you can take the trade. But in my perspective here, I see gold having a bearish bias. I think it's going to drop, but who knows? You know, if this ends up swinging above here. So here's an example. My bias right now is for a sell because the momentum's coming down, right? The most recent momentum signal here is a sell signal. So I think this is going to keep dropping down. However, things can change. If price ends up, let me show you. So if price ends up swinging back up this way, and then we get a buy signal. So like, say for example, a zone is created down here, right? Say a zone's created down here, and then the pattern shifts, right? So like, for example, here, if this is the zone and this is the zone here, sorry, whenever someone joins in the room, it freezes my screen. But anyways, so like I mentioned here, if this is considered a zone down here, and you look at this zone right here, what happens at this point? Zone, buy signal, breaking structure, push up. That could happen here too. If we have a buy signal that appears from here, and then it breaks above this structure right here, then this could possibly push up to here, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, don't get married to like one position, right? Don't be focused on just one direction, because price can go in either way at any point in time. But at this point in time right now, I have a sell bias because the most recent signal was a sell signal right here, right? There's no buy signal. Until there's a buy signal, my bias isn't going to change. I'm still looking for a sell here. But I wouldn't just enter this trade just because like I mentioned, this can easily push up to this point, test this structure, and then come back down. But if you were to enter right here, then you'll be in drawdown heavily until you get to that point, about like 200 pips. So, just keep that in mind, when looking at gold. And the thing with gold, like, keep in mind that gold is a very manipulated asset. This is why I don't trade gold, because it can easily reverse on you at any moment. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you are to trade gold, I would recommend just scalping it. I wouldn't just hop in right away, because you might get burned. Like, the odds of you getting burned are very, very, very likely. But just looking at gold right here, I was trying to see if there's any entries here. So there's no entries here recently because there's no zones down here. Let me go on the shorter time frame, see if there's anything down here. So let's see if I go to gold over here on the 10-minute. There's no entries here either. So yeah, no luck there if you're looking for some scalps for gold here. The most recent scalp, so like there's nothing over here, obviously, right? And there's nothing that's happened recently over here. Or actually, technically, no, there's no entry there. So, I'll keep on looking back for you guys if there's any gold scalps here, but obviously you can see here from my chart, there's no gold scalps. So there's just not really much for us to really look at for gold at this moment. I would wait for some confirmation, because if you enter some sells right here, you can get burnt this way, or if you enter some buys here, you can get burnt this way as well. So I wouldn't enter any trades for gold. I'd wait for the market to fully open, wait until London session for volatility to actually pick up. And then you can determine, whether you want to take these trades for a buy or a sell. But at this moment, this is all I have at this point. We have a sell bias, but I wouldn't enter it just yet. All right. Anyway, so going back to the chat over here. Hey, Samurai, how's it going, bro? Hopefully you had a great weekend. Yeah, Samurai said, yep, agree. USD bullish showing up across all pairs. That's what I'm thinking too, Samurai. So, we'll see. The US market hasn't even opened yet. We're still in the Aussie Asia market. So market's going to be really slow until everything opens up, until London and US session tomorrow. And, keep in mind, guys, it is NFT week. So you're going to experience some crazy movements for gold, especially. But all right, so that's it for gold. Let's see. Naresh wants me to take a look at NASDAQ. So let me take a look at NASDAQ real quick for you guys and move over to NASDAQ 100. All right, so I'll do the same thing I did for you guys with gold. So I'm going to delete everything off the chart here, zoom out from this point, go to the 1 hour, and then from here, I'm going to draw my zones. So I'm going to turn the K2SR indicator, zoom right back out, and then draw my zones from this point. So let me go ahead and draw this from down here. Draw this from over here. Draw this right here. Right over here. And you guys can see how easy this is, right? If you guys have the K2 indicators, you guys can draw these zones without even thinking. You literally just turn the indicator on, you draw your zones over them, and you're set. You guys can do this by hand too, but odds of you making mistakes drawing your own zones are highly likely, unless you're like really experienced with identifying these zones. So anyways, here's a NASDAQ 100. What I'm going to do next is turn on the momentum indicator. So you guys can see how these zones have been respected, all throughout the year, basically. So right here, January 1st, or, January 3rd, when the market reopened, you can see that price has been within the zoned area since then. So just looking at this point over here, I'm going to turn on the momentum indicator, and we have a bullish bias here. So the same analysis that I did for gold, we're going to apply for indices as well. We have the rejection from down here. We had the buy signal right here. It pretty much did a break and retest. So price broke structure right here, retested the structure right here, failed to break below it, and then it shot right back up, right? So right here, we have a bullish bias. And here, let's leave that up right there. So obviously right here, we have a bullish bias because we have the rejection from this point. we have the buy signal right here, and then it pushed up, right? Again, right here, we have, I guess this would possibly break and close past the structure. If this ends up breaking and closing past the structure right here, then I can anticipate it to push up even higher to this point over here, to this next resistance point, which is going to be 13,240. So that's what I see happening for NASDAQ on the higher scale. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this higher 1 hour chart, and I'm going to go down to the 30-minute to see if there's any scalps that, obviously that have become available. Market's only been open for about an hour and 30 minutes for the indices market, so we're probably not going to see very much available here. But I mean, we'll just go ahead and take a look to see if there's anything here that, you possibly could have taken. It doesn't look like it, honestly. Just looking at the chart right now, doesn't look like there's much. I mean, the market hasn't been open long enough for you to take any entries off this. But just looking at this here, yeah, because the market opened right here on the 28th today, and there just hasn't been anything for you guys to take. Obviously, we have a couple of zones right here, but there's just nothing to take on the 30. So let me go on the 10-minute to see if there's anything there, possibly. But other than that, I mean, we have a bullish bias. Obviously, we have a bullish bias. There's just no entries that are available at this time because the market is just open. And that's why for this, this specific session for the weekly chart analysis, we're not really looking to take any trades here. We're just looking for any setups that could be building and setting up for, London open, where the market starts to actually pick up. But I think currently right now, with how the market's currently moving, there just isn't any entries that are available. So I'm just going to help you guys out to identify any possible entries as we kick off the trading week, obviously. So right there. So right there. So yeah, just looking at this here, there's no entries that were available since the market opened. So the market's only been open for about an hour and a half. So market opened right over here, actually. So the 28th, right over here. Yeah, no entries. If this ends up retracing down, which is possibly going to happen, this is probably going to retrace down slightly. If we get a rejection off the pivot in the structure right here, then we could probably see this shoot up from there, and then we can take a scalp from that point, right? But currently right now, there's just nothing for us to really take at this specific moment. But just looking at NASDAQ on the higher time frame, this is what I kind of see happening. If this ends up breaking above the structure, it has to break and close. If it doesn't close above the structure, then there's not going to be any, there's going to be no bullish buys here for an entry, because we have to wait for it to break and close past the structure for that to qualify as an entry for a buy. So currently right here, I have a bullish bias, but until this breaks and closes past the structure, which might happen within the next 20 minutes. If that happens, then we can take a buy here. If not, then probably sit tight until it does happen. So that's it for NASDAQ right there. Samurai said, "Hey, Bubby, had a great weekend. Hope you had a good one too." Yeah, definitely, Samurai. Oh, buddy. Okay, so it's a typo there. Figured. But yeah, glad you had a great weekend, Samurai. I'm ready for another great trading week, because I know we had a great week. I'm sure you did too, because we were both looking at the same things, throughout the trading week. So that's pretty much it for NASDAQ. Let's see what else we have here. Next up is GU. So let me pull up GU real quick. So I do have GU marked up already, but I'm just going to redo it for you guys just so that you guys can see from scratch, exactly what I do when I analyze these charts. So looking at GU here, I've already marked up these zones, but I'll do it again just so that you guys can see how I analyze everything, directly off a naked chart. So here's a naked chart right here with nothing. Sorry, my dog's like scratching. But anyways, looking at GU right here, here's the naked chart. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the K2SR indicator right here, and I'm going to draw my zones. So let's go ahead and draw these zones from this point. We have a zone down here. We have another zone right here. We have another zone right here. And obviously these zones down here are relevant, right? Because price is so up high that we're not expecting price to drop all the way down here. It's just that we're using this as a reference so that we can identify the storyline, right? Because you guys want to see what price is doing. Like, you want to see what it did last week, and you want to see if it's going to continue this week, or if it's going to go, in opposite direction for the upcoming week. So just looking at this here, we have our zones drawn up. I'm going to turn off my K2SRs, and you can see how perfectly GU has respected these zones, right? It's pretty much bounced from zone to zone, and now it's above here in these open areas. So once we have that, I'm going to turn on the momentum indicator. And right here, we have a pending buy signal. So currently right here, if you took this sell above here, which I know a lot of you guys did, we had the rejection off this point. It was followed by a sell signal. And then it dropped, right? Like we always identify. So if you have the rejection sell signal, odds are it's going to push to the next zone down here, right? So it did that. And now what happened from this point is we have another, an opposite signal right here. So let me just show you guys what I mean by that. So let me go over here. There we go. So this was for the sell right here, right? Now we have a rejection off this point, and then we have a pending buy signal right here. So if this closes in the next hour and 16 minutes, then we could possibly anticipate this to continue up to this zone right here, right? Because this is basically what happens when price ends up shifting the other direction and we have these confirmations, odds are price is going to continue pushing in the other direction. So looking at what happened, previously, so this was last week right here, you can see what happened the week before that, right? So right here on the 17th, this is the same exact pattern that we're looking at right here. So we have this rejection off the K2SR zone right there. We have the buy signal right here. And then as soon as price broke and closed past the structure right here, what happened? It's the same pattern, right? Rejection, buy signal, breaking close past structure, push up to the next zone right here. Rejection, sell signal, push down to the next structure right here. Rejection, buy signal, it's probably going to push up to that point right there, right? So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. I mean, there's no 100% guarantee that it's going to push up like this because this candle hasn't closed yet. Until this candle closes and gives confirmation that, it's going to continue pushing up, then there just isn't any confirmation that this is actually going to happen. So until this closes, then we can start looking for a bullish bias. However, until this happens, then, we're not really going to be looking in that direction, because what could happen here is this can easily pull back and this can disappear. This buy signal can disappear because it needs to close. If that happens and it swings back below here and closes, then this could possibly push down even further, right? It'll just correct back down because it's just a break and retest. So in order for us to get a better picture of what's going to happen here for GU, I'm going to pull up the indexes. So we'll pull up the pound index right here. And what I like to do is I like to put them side by side. So looking at GU right here, see the first currency is the pound and the second currency is US dollar. So if I pull up the indexes here, I'm going to pull up the pound over here, which is the BXY. And then I'm going to pair it with the DXY, which is the dollar index. So looking at this here, we can identify, the strength of each currency. So as you can see right here, the pound is weak, right? The pound is weak because price is trending down and it's continuing to drop further and further, right? So with that said, it's not necessarily that weak because the US dollar is weak too. So looking at this here, if you compare the pound index with the US dollar is overall strong and the pound index is overall weak. But you can see this green candle right here is pushing up, right? If this continues to push up, this can easily shift up to the upside. And then same with the dollar index here. Generally, this was pushing strong last week. However, it pushed below here. So if it continues to push down, then it'll just weaken. So if this is strong and this is weak, then this is probably going to push up, right? Because if you guys are familiar with how, Forex pairs move, when price is going up, that indicates that the first currency is stronger than the second currency. When price is coming down, that's going to indicate that the second currency is stronger than the first currency. So just looking at the indexes right here, if the pound continues to be strong and the US dollar continues to be weak, then this will push up like we just mentioned. However, if this ends up continuing down like how it was over here, and the US dollar corrects back up because it was strong last week, then we can anticipate this to go in the other direction for the downside, right? Because if that's the case where the dollar is stronger than the pound, then this is going to go downwards. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you guys are analyzing this, make sure that you look at the indexes to compare the strength of each currency, right? Don't just look at the GU and then match this with I don't know, what else do you guys look at here? Sometimes I see a lot of people like to compare GU with EU. I mean, it's a good comparison because they move similar to each other, right? EU moves this direction, it looks very similar to a GU right here. However, to get a better picture, you should look at the actual indexes to see how strong the actual currency is, because GU and EU are, while they're very similar, they're also very different because the pound and the euro aren't the same exact currency. So just keep that in mind, because they're not always going to move in the same direction. Most of the time they're going to, but not every time. So that's pretty much it for GU right there. Like I said, this candle has about an hour and 12 minutes left. So just wait for it to close. If it closes with a bullish candle here or with this buy signal, then it's probably going to keep pushing up. However, if it doesn't close with this signal here and it closes below this zone right here, then odds are it's going to keep dropping. So just keep that in mind, guys. There's no one way to look at it. You just need to wait for those confirmations. If the confirmations are met, then you can take a trade in a certain direction. However, if those confirmations aren't met, then you shouldn't just hop into a trade just because you feel like, it's going to move in that direction. Because I'm sure a lot of people have been burned that way. They get too stuck in one way. Like they think it's going to keep pushing up and it ends up reversing on them. So just keep that in mind. So Saquon said, I'm in that GU buy. That's going to be a nice full TP. Nice. So Saquon's in a buy right now for GU. Let me see what he looked at. Saquon, did you I don't know if you want to send me a chart or if you could confirm what direction or like what you were looking at. I can look at it, but I'm not sure where you took that buy from. Let me just go look at these scalps. Maybe you were scalping it. That could have been the case. So let me go to GU over here. And you guys can see that these same strategies work for everything. It's not just for Forex. It works for indices. It works for cryptos. It works for stocks. It works for everything. So, if you guys have this arsenal here to identify these trades and stuff, it makes a huge difference for you guys when you guys are looking for entries here. So I don't see any entries here for GU on the 30-minute. Let me see if there's anything here on the 10-minute. I'm just trying to figure out what you were looking at, Saquon, if you took that buy there. So here's GU on the 10-minute. Let me see if there's a zone there. Yeah, honestly, I don't really see any entries here for GU. So I'm not sure what you were looking at, Saquon. I don't know if you probably use something else, a different strategy. And it's probably correct. It's just I don't know exactly what you were looking at. Let me see if I can find something here. I'm just trying to, because there's the thing is when someone takes a trade and they tell you that you're taking a certain direction, there's a ton of ways to troubleshoot it to basically figure out what they were looking for here. So let me just turn on the trend meter, see if the trend meter had anything to do with it. So the trend meter looks indecisive right now. It's blue. So I'm trying to figure out what you're looking at. I'm not sure if this is what you took right here, Saquon. Like if you took this on the 17th, this would fall under the intraday strategy, obviously, because we have a buy signal here. The trend meter is green. If you took that, that'd be a full TP right there for 135 pips. Again, right here, we have a buy signal and it matches with the trend meter down here, green and green. Take a buy entry right there, another full TP, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to apply this strategy. I'm just not sure which confirmation you use, Saquon. But we'll see, and we'll see how this plays out. Unless you mean that you're going to take this once it closes. If you're taking it once it closes, then yeah, that could be solid. But I just don't see anything that's available, at this time specifically. So anyways, going back to US 30 here, I'm just going to see if there's any scalps. There's nothing there. And let me check the chat real quick to see if there's any questions here before I continue on. So Samurai said, on GU long, would you take the profit at 1.40800 or at the next zone? So here, let's see. I'm going to see where Samurai is talking about. So you said 14800. Yeah, I probably would, because the thing is, if you took that trade right there, Samurai, that's actually a pretty nice push. Yeah, it's like almost 100 pips. I would probably take it there. Me personally, I'm not a swing trader, so I don't like holding trades that long. In order for me to reach this point up here, even though it'd be a bigger profit, it's just too risky. It doesn't fit my risk tolerance because I'd rather take bigger positions and shorter trades rather than holding it for like a couple of weeks or a couple of days or so. So just looking at this here, where your target is, Samurai, this is probably where I would take it, honestly, or maybe even shorter than that. So if I was to take this trade here, I mean, my max TP and stop loss is usually around 100 pips. So this is how far I would probably take it. And even in this situation, I probably wouldn't even take it for this long because this is just too big of a move for me. I'd rather just scalp within it. If I see some scalps for some buys, then I'll take those trades rather than taking, these huge moves. But yeah, no, definitely. If this ends up closing above here, then I definitely would take the buy. And I would probably exit around that same area that you mentioned, Samurai. That's a pretty good sweet spot right there. And it looks like an area of liquidity right here, actually. So just looking at this here, see. So this area right here looks like an area of liquidity. So I think once price reaches it, like if price does end up pushing up that high, I think this would be the area where price would catch like some really nice volatility. So like, for example, if you're looking at that area where you were just looking at, Samurai, if price reach this area, it's probably going to shoot up heavier. You're going to see like a breakout around this area. Because I would feel that this would be, an area of a lot of stop losses. So people have, probably a high volume of stop losses in this area right here. So whoever's taking a sell at this point, if, it's going to keep pushing up, and then once it reaches the area, it's just going to skyrocket. Or if it does reach this area, it might reject back down. I mean, well, who knows? We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, definitely, Samurai. If I was to take this long position, I would put it around the same area that you just mentioned because it lines up with my own analysis. But all right, so that's about it for these Forex pairs. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and then I'll take a look at those pairs for you. Otherwise, I'm just gonna look at some scalps, guys, because I'm not really looking at any intraday trades just yet. I don't like taking intraday trades when the market just opened because there's a lot of whipsaw action. Like you can see like a bias here for a buy, and then all of a sudden London comes and it just comes crashing down, right? So I don't really look for intraday trades on Sunday unless I see something that's really, really good, which I haven't really seen just yet. So I'm just gonna play it by ear, and then we'll see how this ends up playing out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark this up on my chart though, right here on my watch list, so I can come back and look at GU to see how it played out. And if it doesn't play out tonight, we'll check tomorrow morning, and we'll see if it played out by then. But all right. So going back to the Zoom chat, let's see. So Saquon said that's exactly what I was looking for at the recent price action from the previous buy signal on February 8th, closed above the structure, buy signal and straight up to the next structure. Okay, nice, definitely. So Saquon's basically he's analyzing it from this perspective. It looks like he has got in a little earlier. So we will obviously we'll take a look. So Raz, I'm not sure if you saw my analysis. I analyzed NASDAQ like pretty in depth, like a couple of minutes ago. I'm not sure if you missed it, but I'll just go back to the NASDAQ 100 real quick, and I'll just show you what I was looking at here. So looking at the NASDAQ right here, I mentioned that this candle, so it closes in about 4 minutes. So in about 4 minutes, if this closes above the structure right here, then I can see a bullish, and it's probably gonna push up to this next structure above here. So just keep that in mind, Raz. And it looks like all of the indices are kind of bullish right now anyways. That's why I'm looking for some scalps right now, in case there's anything that we could possibly take. So that's pretty much what I see happening right here, Raz. The reason for this is because we have the rejection from this point. We have the buy signal above this area right here. Once this closes, push up to this area. So we're looking for the same pattern to repeat itself again right here. We're just waiting for it to close above the structure for it to push up from this point. Naresh is asking, how can I copy your signals? Do you have a link? So Naresh, if you want to copy the signal, just go on the website, k2trades.com right here. And then if you just want to copy my signal, you can click here at the premium signals. If you want free access to the public group, you can click here for the free access. And if you want access to the strategies, you can click this here for access to the K2 indicators and for the strategy. So you guys can apply, exactly what I'm doing here. If you guys want to trade exactly how I'm doing and do exactly what I'm, look for what I'm looking for, it's available to you as well. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you want to just copy my trades, you can click here for the signals. If you just want to learn the free course and follow the free groups, then click here for the free access. If you want access to the premium, where you have access to these indicators and my strategies, then you can click this right here. So it's really up to you what you want there. And I'll put the link over here real quick. Let me see. There you go. So yeah, we're done with that for here. And we got about 3 minutes left on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at NASDAQ on the 10-minute to see if there's any scalps available. Because it looks like it's going to be bullish. If that's the case and it's bullish, then we're going to look for some buy scalps here, which will be good for all of us. So just looking at this here, let me see, I'm going to take all this stuff off. It's kind of messy. Let's see, we got a zone right here. I'm just going to redraw these zones here on the 10-minute to see if there's anything that we could possibly, take. So looking at that there, mark that up, and then down there. So the rest of the stuff's kind of relevant. I'm not going to draw anything else. These lower zones are super relevant because price is all the way up here, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any scalps just yet. We need a rejection off the pivot and the structure for us to take those scalps, and obviously they're not available here just yet. Let me just go back to US 30. All right, so looking at US 30 over here, there's nothing available yet either. So what I'm going to do now is I already looked over all the Forex pairs here. So if you guys have any other specific questions, just put them in the chat and then I can take a look for you. Otherwise, I'm just going to look for some possible scalp entries here for these indices. So other than that, yeah, let's start looking for some scalps. So I'll go down the list here. So first up, we have Aussie 200 right here. Let me see if there's any scalps that were available. Not yet. Looks like there were some that were actually pretty close, but not exactly, up to par with entries. So nothing with the Aussie 200. Let me scroll down to the China 50 right here. So looking at the China 50 over here, let me see if there's anything that you could have possibly taken. It looks like there's a buy scalp here for the China 50. I'm not sure if you guys trade this. I know some of you guys do. I'm not sure if you guys are in this room right now, but if you guys do trade the China 50, there's actually a scalp that's available, right over here. I'm not going to take it because I don't trade this. I don't like trading stuff that I don't trade I don't like trading stuff that I'm not familiar with. So just looking at this here, actually, I don't know if there's an entry here. Let's see. See if it touched that yellow one. So if I just rewind this to here, let me just rewind it one time. So actually there's an entry here for the China 50. So just looking at this here, you can see that there was a rejection off the pivot and the structure right here. This is what we look for when we apply the K2 snipe strategy. We just look for a rejection off the pivot and the structure right here, the K2 pivot and the K2 structure. Once you have that, you can take a long position right here. And that's pretty much the trade. So if I zoom out from this point, this is an active trade right here for the China 50, right? It's about to hit full TP right there if you guys caught that. But like I mentioned, I don't trade the China 50, so I wouldn't have called this trade because I don't take it. But if you guys do take it and you guys have access to the indicators, it looks like it's about to hit full TP right there. So that's it for the China 50. Let me move on to the next one over here, the Spain 35. Again, this isn't one that I trade, but I do analyze this for you guys. Some people in the group just ask questions about these specific assets that I don't trade. But you guys can see here that, my strategies work across the board. Like I don't have to trade them to know how to take these trades, right? If you guys have the indicators and the strategies, you guys can trade like literally anything. You don't have to just stick to like one specific asset. You can bounce around, do whatever you want. But anyways, looking at this here at the Spain 35. So just looking at this here, looks like there was an entry. There's two entries right here. It looks like the first entry was actually right here off this candle. Let me see, the market opened right here the market hasn't even opened yet for the Spain 35. So I'm not even going to look at this. You guys can see here that the timestamp is still February 26th. Today's the 28th. So there's actually no entries available for the Spain 35 just yet. And we look at the French 40 or France 40, I guess. This hasn't opened yet either. You can see that the timestamp here is 26. We're going to skip that. We'll look at the DAX 30 right here. This is actually open. So we can actually look for some entries at this point. Let me see if there's anything here for the DAX, because I know a lot of you guys here love to trade the DAX. And a lot of you guys locked in like some pretty massive profits trading this last week. So just looking at this here, there's just no entries that are available just yet. But as it comes back down, there might be an available entry as it continues to move. So if it comes down to this point, swings down here, rejects off the pivot and the structure at this point, then possibly there could be an entry at there. Let's see if there was profits yesterday last week for the DAX, because I know some of you guys did trade it. I'm just going to see who here traded the DAX last week. Okay, so Eric over here traded the DAX. You can see here JER 30. So he traded the DAX. He made about a couple $100 off that. Jazz over here, he doesn't trade the DAX. Let me see who else trades the DAX here. Okay, so Cheryl over here, she traded the DAX. So this was on the 26th. She traded the DAX on Friday, I believe. And she locked in some pretty nice profit here. DAX 30, DAX 30, DAX 30. She locked in about 300, 500 if you add those together, and then about 600, all of them combined. So you guys can see here that if you guys trade anything else, like it is available to you. It just depends on, what you like to trade. but there's no entries available for the DAX just yet. Let me see if there's anything else as we move along. So that's the DAX right there. Let's see, the Japanese Nikkei. So I don't trade this, but I think there's a couple people here that were mentioning it the other day. So let's see if there's any entries that are available for this, because we are in the Asia market right now. It's Tokyo session. So this might be something that you guys can trade if you guys are really wanting to take some scalps right now. All right. So looking at this here, it looks like the most recent entry for the Japanese index right here would have been this red candle right here, right? The reason for that is because we have the rejection off this K2 pivot right here, this green pivot, and off this this structure right here, right? So with that said, if you enter this long position here, this is actually today on the 28th. So just a couple, let's see, the 16th. It's about an hour ago, exactly an hour ago, this entry was available for the Nikkei. So if you took this long position here, already hit full TP off that. You know, it's the same strategy we apply all around. It's not just for US 30, it's not just for the DAX. But if you apply it for anything else, like the Nikkei here, if you like to trade this, this would have hit full TP already. So that's one win if you were trading this already this morning or this afternoon. And let's move on to the next ones. We have a couple other ones here. I already looked at NASDAQ. There's nothing available there. Looking at the S&P right here, we'll see if there's any scalps here that were available. Nothing yet. You know, like I mentioned, the market's just open, so there's not really much to really take right now. All right, yeah, so nothing for the S&P. It's choppy anyway, so I probably wouldn't even trade that to begin with. Looking at the UK 100 right here, this is something that you guys like to trade a lot as well. There's actually a trade that's available right now if this ends up closing, which you know, it probably will. So if you guys are looking to scalp the UK 100, there's a scalp that's actually, if this closes like it, or I mean, there's an entry that was over here already actually. So this is the 28th. There's actually a couple entries here that were available for the UK 100. If this is like something that you like to trade, I don't trade it, but I know some other people do. There's a rejection off that point right there. So this would have been a buy entry. If you took a long position right here, it is it's technically active right now. So this scalp is technically active. There's another scalp that's actually setting up right here. It's the same setup, you know, rejection off the pivot and the structure, and then, you know, provide for buy signal. So this would be a double confirmation right here. There's actually, it'd be a triple confirmation, because looking at this red candle right here, there's actually a rejection off the pivot right there as well. So there's one entry here, one right here, one right here, and then another one right here that's developing. So if that's, you know, if there's 4 confirmations right there, odds are this is probably going to shoot up pretty heavy. So if you guys are looking at this, or if you guys decided to take this trade earlier, it looks pretty nice so far. So, I mean, that's it for the UK 100. I think this is the only trade that's really available for scalps right now. That, I forgot what else did I look at, the China 50, right? So the China 50, if you guys watched my my analysis earlier, it just hit full TP. So if you guys want to rewind the replay and see, because I identified this like a few minutes ago, I said that this was going to push up and hit full TP, which it did. So for you guys who are watching my, you know, my live session from, you know, a few minutes ago, and you guys saw the China 50 where I marked this up, it just hit full TP. So congrats to whoever took that trade. I wish I would have taken it. It's just not something that I normally trade, so that's why I'm not I don't like hopping into trades that I'm not 100% confident about. So that's it for the China 50 right there. Going back to UK 100, this is the one that I just marked up, you know, a few minutes ago. This looks like it's about to hit full TP as well. So, you know, whoever took this trade, it looks like it's about to hit. So, you know, just a reminder, if you guys want to learn how to trade like this is the same strategy that we apply every single day. If you guys want to learn the strategy and apply this on your own, then just go to the website, k2trades.com, click on K2 strategy course right here, and then you can learn to apply this on your own. So this is about to hit full TP right there if you guys took it. You know, I just called this a few seconds ago, or a few minutes ago. And it looks like it's about to hit. So let's go back to the NASDAQ over here. So the NASDAQ did close above here. So if you guys want to take that trade, this is probably going to be a long position as well, right there. This is the bigger move. But just looking at this here, I mean, everything else looks pretty nice. Like this looks pretty nice right here, whoever took that. But like I mentioned, I don't trade this. I don't get greedy. I don't try to trade every single thing because that's a problem with a lot of traders. A lot of people want to trade everything, right? They want to trade all the Forex pairs. They want to trade all the indexes. And what happens? They just blow accounts because they can't focus on one thing. If you guys are familiar with me, I only trade US 30. I mostly trade US 30. I started trading the DAX recently, but my main bread and butter is going to be US 30. This is where I make most of my profits. If you guys look at all the profits that I share, it's just US 30, right? So these are my profits from last week. See, they're all US 30, right? US 30, US 30, 17,000 profit last week, just US 30. Like you guys got to figure out like what you guys like to trade. Don't like, I never recommend that you guys trade everything because if you trade too many things, you're probably going to blow your account. Just find, just figure out what you guys are good at and then master it. There's no need for you to trade every single thing. Because I see people trying to trade like literally everything, right? They trade the NASDAQ, they trade the S&P, they trade US 30. And it's like, dude, if you're trading S&P, like what's the point of trading US 30? They move the same way. Like you might as well pick one or the other. And then same with the NASDAQ. People like trading the NASDAQ with, UK 100. They kind of move very similar. You don't need to trade both of them. The only difference is the DAX. The DAX is very similar to US 30, so I'm kind of contradicting myself. But the DAX moves prior to US 30, so I like to compare them. That's the main difference. But if you're trading US 30 and S&P, these move exactly the same. So there's no point in you trading both. Just trade one and then get really good at it. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I don't see any entries here for US 30. That's why I'm not taking any trades on my own account because I'm not necessarily looking for anything there. But yeah, guys, I mean, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I mean, there's not really much to look at. I've already analyzed everything for the day. So if anything, if I don't have any questions, I'm probably going to sign off early. I might come back on later to scalp some more, but volatility is just too slow right now. There's just I don't see US 30 moving far enough for me to take any like legit trades that I actually want to take. And I'm not trying to force any trades, right? Obviously, I'm not going to force anything. I only take trades if I know they're for sure. So let's go back to UK 100. So this is about to hit full TP. So if you guys saw that trade that I just identified, a few minutes ago, it's about to hit full TP off this. And look here, I'll just set an alert right there so that you guys can UK 100 full TP. So once this hits TP there, I'll get an alert, and then you guys can see where to grab that. Naresh said, can you confirm NASDAQ? Yeah, so I just did right now, Naresh. So there's the buy right there if you want to take the intraday trade. This is going to be the longer term move right here, which we probably see happening. Probably not this far of a move, though. This is way too far. Let me check real quick. Yeah, I think this is too big of a move. So maybe like 100 pip move would be better. All right, Naresh, so there's a setup right there for NASDAQ if you're thinking about taking this trade. There's the parameters right there. UK 100 just hit full TP, guys. So if you guys are following my my analysis earlier for UK 100, it just hit full TP right there. So if you guys took that, congrats. I wish I took it, but like I mentioned, I don't get greedy. Like I trade what I'm good at and I focus on that. I don't go and I jump off into all these other pairs. So just keep that in mind. Biko is asking, where can I find your watch list again? So Biko, if you go on the website, let me just pull it up for you real quick. So if you go on the K² website over here, let me just pull it up real quick. All right, Biko. So if you go here on the K² website, this is what the course looks like. So if you guys sign up to K² for the strategy course, so like looking at this here, if you guys sign up to this strategy course right here, this is what you'll get. This is what the inside actually looks like. So just looking at this point over here, this is what it looks like. And Biko, like to pull up the watch list, you'll just scroll down right here to K² watch list and then click on that. And then once you click on that, you can either copy my watch list here and just import it into your trading view or MT4, whatever you're trading on, or you can just download this right here and then upload it to your watch list. So like, for example, if you want to upload it here, just click on this, click, import watch list. And then you can go ahead and put it on the watch list there. And then this will come up right here. I'll probably update it because I know I have different assets on mine now. I added a couple of these cryptos down here because people like to ask for that a lot. So I might re-upload a new one, Biko. But if you want the old one, it's the same thing. It's just the difference here is I added the indexes and I added a couple other indices right here as well for those of you that ask a lot of questions regarding those specific indexes. So just keep that in mind. But that's pretty much where you would find it. So I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close this right here. And I think that's about it. So let me just pull this up real quick. Let's see if there's a. So Naresh, looking at NASDAQ right here, it's actually in profit now. So if you took the trade that I just mentioned, it's pushing up in profit as we speak. So hopefully you caught that. Hopefully hits your TP. But I'm not going to take it because I don't trade NASDAQ. So other than that, let me just check real quick if there's any entries here. So I don't really see anything here yet for US 30. Obviously, until I find something, and I'll take a trade. But there just isn't anything available. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out on Telegram, or you guys can put your question here right now if you want actually, and then I can take a look. But yeah, the market's too slow. There's just nothing for me to look at. So unless you guys have questions, there's not really much for me to do here right now. Raz asking, what was that an entry on NASDAQ 100? Yeah, Raz. So if you want to take this trade, you can take it. I'm not going to take it, and I'm not going to call it as a signal because I don't trade this. I don't if I call a signal, it's only because I'm taking it. I only call signals that I actually take on my own account. I don't just call random signals. So these would be where the entry would be if you were to take this trade for NASDAQ. But I'm personally not taking it. So Raz, if you want to take that trade, there's your parameters. I'll leave it there for a few seconds while I take a look at the YouTube chat. Oh, sorry, Sam. I just saw your question right here. So you said, AU, I'm watching a daily zone. If price gets around 0.78200, targeting 0.75700. Any thoughts? If you have a time to look. Yeah, Samurai. So let me pull up AU real quick. So Raz, there's the parameters for NASDAQ. I'm gonna take it off right now. And then I'm gonna take a look at AU real quick for Samurai. So I'm going back on the 4-hour right here. Look at this big bullish candle right here. This is why I don't trade on Sundays mostly. I wait for the market to actually play out before I take these trades, because look at these huge movements, right? Like price is moving super slow right here, and then a huge burst up for 50 pips. So just looking at this right here, let me see real quick. Let's see, so Samurai said he's watching a daily zone. The price actually gets around 78,200. Let me see, 78,200. Hey, T-God, how's it going, bro? T-God said, can you demonstrate a buy setup? So T-God, are you asking about the snipe strategy? Just want to confirm which strategy you're talking about so I can show you an example. Because obviously we have a lot of strategies here, so I don't want to show you something that's different from what you're looking for. But let me just finish analyzing this for Samurai real quick. He said his price point was, let's see, around 78,200. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So it lines up perfectly with mine actually right here, Samurai. So yeah, if price ends up breaking and closing past that structure right there, so it pushes up here and then closes above here, then I would definitely take that buy, because there's so many zones right here. So this is why I wouldn't take these trades. But just looking at this here, see this big bullish candle? At this point, we have the rejection off here. If we get a buy signal, like somewhere around this area, and then it ends up closing above this structure right here, then I could definitely see it pushing up all the way up here. Right, Samurai? So this lines up with yours perfectly. Really good analysis there. And it lines up perfect to, oh, actually, let me see. Looks like you're looking for a sell actually, right? So, sorry. So this is a different analysis. So for this analysis right here, this is if we get a buy signal. If we don't get a buy signal here, then this isn't going to happen. But if we get a buy signal and it breaks and closes past the structure, then I probably see it pushing up higher. But it looks like Samurai is looking for a sell. So this is what he was looking at. But he was looking for this opposite direction this way. Let me check real quick. Yeah, so for example, right here, that would be his entry when it broke and closed past that structure right here, which is perfectly fine. This is something that I would have taken as well, because we have the rejection from this point up here. We have the sell signal right here. So obviously we still have a sell bias right now, right? Because there's no buy signal. I mentioned that I would take the buy if we had a buy signal, but we have no buy signal right now. We only have the sell signal. So what happened with Samurai, he analyzed this right here. You know, comparing my analysis with his, I identified this rejection from here, sell signal, breaking close patch structure, and then I anticipated it to drop down. However, looking at all these zones right here, there's so many areas of rejection, right? So price is rejecting off here, but it could have easily rejected right here, right here, right here. There's so many points of rejection. So just looking at Samurai's target down here, let me see, Samurai's target was, let's see, his target was 75,700. Oh, so that's a pretty big drop. So yes, I mean, this could still play out. You know, like my other analysis earlier for that buy, it's not going to happen until we have that buy signal. So like for here, we still have a sell buy. So what could happen from this point is price can easily reject off this structure right here and continue farther down. So if that's the case, yeah, I can see this playing out, you know, with regards to your analysis there. I know you trade on the higher time frames, but, you know, just looking at the 4 hour here, this would line up perfectly even if you're looking at the daily. So this is my analysis right here on the 4 hour. I know you like to trade on the daily, right, Samurai? So let me go on the daily real quick. And then I will analyze AU on the daily to see what we see on there. Because obviously, you know, a daily analysis would be completely different from a 4 hour, but they both line up pretty nicely, you know, if you tie them together. So just looking at AUD/USD right here, I'm going to turn on my zones. Looks like we don't have any zones anytime near. It's like the zones right here. So your price point would have been down here actually, 75,700. So just looking at this on the daily chart right here, we do have the rejection off this point. Let me turn on the momentum indicator. And we do have the sell momentum right here. So actually you're on point with that analysis, Samurai. You know, obviously we just have this bullish candle right here, but we do have the rejection from here. We have the sell signal right here. So this is probably going to keep dropping if it, you know, if it does continue. However, your target was down here at 75. Just mark this up right here. Your target was 75,700, which is actually at the zone right here. So if it continues dropping, then yeah, I think it would hit your target at that point if you're looking at the daily chart. But, you know, looking here at the 4 hour, we would just need a rejection off this point. If it rejects off this point right here, then I could definitely see it dropping even further. The only time I would start to get worried is if we get a buy signal. If we get a buy signal, then it's probably going to push up in the opposite direction. But, you know, like I mentioned earlier, you know, price can go either direction. It's a brand new week. It doesn't have to go in one direction, because last week obviously it was pushing down. Right here on the 24th, it pushed down, but then you know, it can easily push up at any other point. It just really depends on what happens with this candle. So we'll have to wait and see. But we still do have the sell bias here until that buy signal appears. All right, so let me see if there's anything else here. Samurai said UK100 also had a couple bullish patterns, inverted cup with handle, and a order block sideways consolidation with that coiling under zone before the breakout. Really nice price action around those zones. Yeah, definitely. So I was looking at that too. You know, looking at the UK100 right here. So that was pretty solid. You know, this buy here that we marked up like a few minutes ago. But I could definitely see what you mean by that right here, Samurai, because I do see that, you know, sometimes my K2SR zones match up perfectly with order blocks, even though I don't trade order blocks. You know, other traders in K2 do trade it, and they've identified that sometimes they do match up, which is perfect. So this was a great breakout right here off this point. Let's see if there's anything else here to look at. Let's see. So we have another question here from, here, let me check real quick. Let me just go back to US 30 real quick. All right, cool. So yeah, definitely, no problem, Samurai. You know, it's good matching up my analysis with yours because we trade completely differently. So if my analysis lines up with yours, then it's pretty much a home run hit. for both of us. All right, so the next question here is Rick's asking, so you use TradingView instead of MetaTrader? Yeah, I never use MetaTrader. The only time I use MetaTrader is to execute my trades, but I never mark up charts on MetaTrader. I mean, you guys can see the huge difference, right? Like if I pull up MetaTrader, let me see MT4. So if I pull up MetaTrader over here, let me just show you guys real quick. Like it's like a huge difference, right? I don't know why I still don't see how people still trade off MetaTrader, because like here, let me show you real quick. So looking at, so this is a TradingView, right? Like looking at this and comparing it to MetaTrader, like it's crazy. Whenever I see people trade on MetaTrader and draw stuff on there, I'm like, dude, this thing's so old. Like I don't understand how you guys even see anything on here. So I don't trade on here at all. All I do is I execute my trades off MT4, but I don't draw anything on the chart because it's just so hard. Like these functions are so like outdated that I just don't understand how people are able to trade on that. But I mean, if it works for you, you can keep trading on there. I just personally don't. I personally don't use it. Let me see. There's a question here. T Mama Bullish is asking. Yeah, not sure. Well, I'm pretty sure this does work on here. I don't know. There's one person that just said it didn't, that it wasn't working, but I guess it is. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much, why I use a TradingView over a MT4 for charting. It's way more advanced compared to MT4. I just execute on MT4 because I have to. Like if I was able to switch platforms, I would, but there just isn't any, there isn't a broker that's compatible with it for FTMO. Let's see, Darren's asking, are the support resistance indicators or areas that you have drawn in? That's using the K2SR indicator, Darren. So yeah, it is using the K2 support resistance indicator, but that's pretty much all that we're looking at that point. Like I don't use any other indicators. I just use the K2SR indicator. And that's how I do my zones. So like basically here, I'll just show you for example here. So just looking at this point over here, turn this off. This is a naked chart here, Darren. First thing I do is I turn on the K2SR indicator, and then you can see that we have some perfectly drawn zones right there, right? So what I do is I draw my zones right over them, and that's how I get my zones on the chart. So I draw them over like that, like that. And I'm not drawing them perfectly. I'm just drawing them to show you, for example, here. And I'm just going to turn it off, and then there you got some perfectly drawn zones, right? So that's how I get the zones on the chart. So that's it for that right there. All right, let me go back to the questions over here. Okay, so T-Got wanted me to demonstrate a buy entry. So let me just show you, for example, here. T-Got, let me just go back to a pair here. So I'll just show you an example of how we take a buy using the K2 snipe strategy. So let me just turn on this the indicator right here, the pivots. We'll turn on the K2SR indicator right here. So T, you wanted to see a buy, right? Let me just zoom out over here, and then we'll I'm just gonna see if I can see a buy here. All right, cool. So we have one right here. And this is just me showing an example for T-God over here because he wants to see how to take these trades. So I'll just zoom out from here. All right, T-God. So looking at this point right here, this would be an example for a buy entry. The reason for that is, so let me put this right there, and I'll just put the requirements over here. This is going to be the K2. Sorry, get that up there again. This is going to be the K2 snipe strategy off US 30 on the 10-minute time frame. So first, you just want to confirm wick rejection off K2 SR zone, or no, K2 pivot, which could be any pivot. And this strategy is super simple. This is the same strategy that everyone's using to pretty much kill it every single week. Another K2 rejection off, or a wick rejection off the K2 SR zone. And then lastly, confirm wick rejection off K2 pivot, does not touch candle body. All right, so that's pretty much it, right? Those are the requirements right there. So first you want to look for a wick rejection off K2 pivot right here. It's rejecting off this orange pivot right here, right? So this is the orange pivot right here. You see the wick rejection right off that pivot, right? So the second confirmation is the wick rejection off the K2SR zone. Right here, you can see that we had the zones in this area. So if I turn this off right here, you can see that we have a zone right there, right? What I did was I drew my zone over it to clean it up so you guys can see it a lot better. So we have the wick rejection off the K2 pivot. We have the wick rejection off the K2SR zone. Next, you just want to confirm that this pivot isn't touching the body. Obviously, it's not touching the body because the body's way up here and the pivot's way down here, right? So with that said, you can enter a long position right here for 500 pips. And then once you have that set up, you just, you pretty much let it run. And there you go, full TP. So there's an example for a buy entry right there, TGOT. And then I'll show you an example for a sell. So that's a buy right there. We're gonna do the same thing, but for a sell now. All right, so that was the buy right there. We're gonna do the same exact thing right here, right? We wanna confirm a wick rejection off the K2 pivot. So right here, you can see the wick is rejecting off that green pivot right there, right? So that's confirmation number one. Confirmation number two is a wick rejection off the K2SR zone. So there's this wick rejecting off this K2SR zone right here, right? So the first two confirmations have been met. The last confirmation, you just want to make sure that this pivot isn't touching the body. And it's obviously not touching the body because the body's way down here and the pivot's way up here. So with that said, you do the same thing, enter a short position right here. We go for 500 pips, quick scalp, don't get greedy, just lock in those profits and pull out. So once that happens right there, you let the trade run. It's in profit, pushes down even further, and then we go full TP. So that's pretty much it. TGOT, I mean, you see an example here for a sell. And then again, right here, you can see that the sell and the buys come pretty quickly. So we got that sell right there, and then we got the buy right there. So with that said, that's pretty much it. That's the strategy. Plain and simple. And if you guys want access to that, just go on the website, k2trades.com, click on K2 strategy course right here, and then you'll get access to all the K2 indicators and strategies. So that's pretty much it for that, TGOT. All right, so anything else right here? Let me see. Gerald's asking another question. So let's see. Gerald said, can you go over the snipe strategy real quick on an index you don't normally trade, maybe like Aussie 200? Yeah, definitely, Gerald. So let me just go back to that real quick. I think I had it marked up over here actually. So we had an entry for the Aussie 200 right here. So I have it marked up right here, but I'll pull up a clean chart so that we can take a look. So here's the Aussie 200. And then let me just show you an example here. And it works the same way, Gerald. It's the same exact thing, nothing really different. The market's super choppy right here, so I wouldn't even take any trades here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and replay it back to this point, like over here. And then we'll see if there's any entries around this area. Because, like I mentioned, guys, when the price is choppy like this, one way to look at it is I'll turn off the candles. And you can see that the pivot, see, this is a nice smooth move down, right? I'll take scalps right here. When price gets choppy like this whole area right here, I'm not going to scalp right here because you're going to get caught in some whipsaws, right? You're probably going to lose some trades because trades are just going back and forth. However, like I mentioned, when price is smooth like this down here, this is where I'll take some scalps. So I'll just rewind it to that point. And then I will show you, an example off here. So let's see if there's any entries that are available. Okay, so the first one is like right here. Let me just, and I'm just eyeballing, right? Because I'm not looking for anything specific. I'm just looking for any possible entries so that I can show, Gerald how this works for the most part. So let me just fix this a little bit. There we go. Let's go back to this point right here. And then this would be, so this is perfect right here, Gerald, because we have two entries available right here that we can look at. So this is actually perfect because we got a sell over here, and then the same zone that I drew, we have a buy over here. So let me go and show you the sell first real quick. I'm going to put the same requirements over here. This is going to be the K2 snipe strategy, AU 200, 10-minute time frame. First requirement, confirm wick rejection off K2 pivot, any pivot. Second confirmation, confirm wick rejection off K2 SR zone. Third requirement, confirm wick rejection off pivot, K2 pivot, does not touch body. And you know, it's really simple. I mean, there's really no guesswork here. Like there's no reason for anybody to get confused applying the strategy. It's 3 simple requirements. Like there's really no guesswork there. So just looking at this from this point over here, we have a wick rejection off the K2 pivot, right? For this red candle right here, you can see that we have a wick rejection off that green pivot, right? So with that said, we have first requirement right there. Second requirement, wick rejection off the K2 SR zone. This is the zone right here. So the first 2 requirements are met. Last requirement, you just want to confirm that the pivot, this green pivot right here, doesn't touch the body. Obviously, it's not touching the body. So you can enter a short position, you know, right over here. So with that said, if you were to take this trade and you let it run, there you go. It's currently in profit, full TP, easy win right there off the Aussie 200. So that's for a sell right there. I'll show you the same requirements here for a buy. So we got that sell right there. Now we're looking at a buy right here, right, Gerald? So I just showed you that one right there. Next up, we're going to look for a wick rejection off the K2 pivot again right here, right? For this specific green candle right here, we have the wick rejection off this green pivot, right? So wick rejection right there, another wick rejection off the structure, and then you just want to make sure that that pivot's not touching the body, right? So it's way far from the body, so it's perfect and it's good to go. We enter a long position right there. We let this run. Currently in profit, we let it play a little bit, pushes up a little higher, and what do you know, full TP, right? So I just showed you 2 examples right there of the same strategy back to back. So we had that sell right there, and then, I mean, there's probably more entries here, but this is just using the same zone that I drew for this one over here, because, you know, as I mentioned, it always repeats itself, right? So again, right there, boom, full TP both ways. And you guys can see here that there's some people here that that trade the Aussie. I don't trade the Aussie myself, but there's a couple people here that do trade the Aussie 200 and they lock in profits. Let me see if I can find someone here who was trading the Aussie 200 last week. I know some people do, but I personally don't, because I just stick to US 30. Like I mentioned, I stick to what I'm good at and I just keep trading it. Let's see. US 30, S&P, tax 30. I'm trying to figure out who here trades. I forgot. And there's a couple people here from Australia that do trade it. I'm not sure if you traded, Sam. I know there's got to be someone here that trades it, because literally everyone in K2 trades something different. Like not everyone trades the same thing. Let's see, Braden. I don't think he traded, right? It's a nice profit though. 2,000 off that. Josh over here. No, he trades US 30. Other than that, yeah, sorry guys. I don't really see. Let me see. Sam here, he traded that Nisei. So he traded all these other ones, but I don't think he traded the Aussie. But yeah, I mean, it does work. So if you guys wanted to apply it on you know, any other ones, you guys can. It's just you could probably just ask in the premium, Gerald, if you want to trade that and you want to, you know, ask questions about that. I know there's people in the group that do trade it. I just don't see him here on the profits from last week. I know if I was to run through like a random date, so like let's go to like February 17, right? Jazz, no. Who's this? Oh, it's Ivan. So Ivan locked in, like he trades Bitcoin too. So you can see here, he had like a huge loss off his Bitcoin. I don't know what happened with that, but he trades other Bitcoins here, Litecoin, Ethereum, and he locks in profit off that as well. Yeah, sorry, I can't find who trades it here, but I know there are some people here that do trade it. But okay, let me go back to the chat real quick. Let's see. Miku said those pivots were crossing on that buy example, but it worked out. Yeah, Biko. So this is what I mean. Like you could, if you want to trade risky, you guys can take these trades. It's just I personally don't trade that way, right? I only take trades that I know are going to for sure hit. So that's why I don't really look at trades like that. But if you want to take risky trades, I mean, you can take the trades if you like, and you know, odds are they're probably going to hit. It's just, I like to trade only stuff that I know is for sure going to hit, because I don't like giving out bad trades, right? I only like to give out trades that I'm completely satisfied with. So going back to the NASDAQ right here, I think Naresh, the NASDAQ that I called for you earlier, and for Raz as well. Let me look at it real quick. All right, so it's nice in profit, guys. So if you guys took that NASDAQ that I called earlier, if you guys want to rewind the replay, I mentioned this and I gave you guys the parameters. It's in profit pretty nice right now. So hopefully that hits your TP. You know, obviously I don't trade the NASDAQ, so I didn't take it myself. And that's why I didn't call it a signal. But if you guys took my trade that I identified here, it's pretty nice in profit as we speak. So other than that, let me go back to the questions over here. Let's see, Naresh is asking, or actually, sorry, let me go back up real quick. So Shawn wants me to take a look at GA. So let me just pull up GA real quick. Sorry if I'm skipping around. Just want to make sure that I don't miss anyone's questions. So let me go back to GA real quick for Shawn, and then after that, I'll go down the list and answer the next question. So Shawn, looking at GA right here, obviously we have a bullish bias right here. The reason for that is because we have the rejection from this point. We have the buy signal right here. And then you can see that it's a nice bullish move. So technically right here, I mean, I personally wouldn't take this trade just yet because the market like literally just opened a couple hours ago. But technically this would indicate a bullish move right here because price broke and closed past the structure. So this is the setup that I have for this right now, Shawn. I personally wouldn't take this because this setup actually started on Friday. So this, you can see it from the timestamp down here. This was Friday, February 26th. So I personally wouldn't take this trade. What I would do is I would wait for it to come back down because it's obviously breaking, retesting, right? So price broke structure. It's now retesting. I would wait for it to confirm that bullish move. Once it confirms a bullish move right here, so we get a rejection off this structure, and then we get a bullish move from there, then I would take the buy. But I wouldn't take it just yet because obviously the market's barely opening, and you're gonna get some whipsaw movements from like the aftermarket orders from like people just entering the market from the weekend. So I would hold off on this, Shawn. But obviously right here we have a bullish bias because the most recent signal was a buy signal. So I wouldn't hop into it just yet. I would just wait, be patient with it, and then wait for that confirmation before you hop into this GA trade right here. But I do have a bullish bias. All right, so anyways, back to the questions over here. Naresh said US 30 looks like a buy signal. Can you please confirm it? So going to US 30 real quick. I mean, US 30 has been pretty bullish all day today since market open. Let me just, I'll mark everything up for you right here. So here's US 30. I'm gonna zoom out. Here's a naked chart. First thing I'm gonna do is turn on the K2SR indicator. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw my my zones for you guys here. Sorry, pick the proper one. So yeah, it does look bullish right here. And I hate when the zones are so like when they cross over so much because it's kind of hard to identify where they connect from. So that's good right there. This right over here. Right over there. All right, cool. So just looking at this here for US 30. I mean, this is too choppy here. It's too messy. It's not really something that I would want to trade right now on the higher time frame. But we do have a buy signal right here, like you mentioned, Naresh. So technically, we have a bullish bias right here. But let me show you on the scalps. So currently, right here, price is trying to shift upwards, right? Obviously, it's pretty clear here that price is shifting upwards. Let me just delete all this stuff off the chart. Have all these markups from last week when we took all these buys or these trades here and we hit a bunch of TPs. So I'm just cleaning it up so we don't have all this stuff on the chart. Or you know what can I do is I just delete everything. So that makes things a whole lot easier. Let me just draw these zones right here. But yeah, technically it looks like a buy right now on the shorter time frame, the 10-minute. But we just need a better confirmation. There's the confirmation right now is just not enough to want to like really give me that push to want to take this trade just yet. Because volatility is still very, very low. You want volatility to pick up quite a bit before we take some trades off this. Because you don't want to get caught in any reversal. So just looking at the Dow right here. looking at every candle, there's like barely any movement here, right? The volatility is just way too low. So what I'd be looking for here is for price to push up slightly, possibly come down, reject off the structure and the pivot around this area. And then I would take the buy as it continues back upwards. But yeah, I mean, so looking at this here on the 1 hour, we do have a bullish signal right here. So it is pushing up. And then again, over here on the 10-minute for the scalps, this is what I'm waiting for right here. I'm waiting for an actual entry before I take the trade. Because the last thing you want to do is enter a trade and then it ends up reversing on you, right? You don't want to like just take a lucky trade. You want to make sure that you know that the trade's going to hit. You're completely confident with it before before you decide to take the trade. So I'm looking for a bullish move here. I just need the confirmation here. I need the rejection off the pivot and the structure, exactly what I was mentioning earlier for the other entries when I analyzed both the Aussie 200 and the UK 100, before taking this trade. So just keep that in mind, Naresh. But yeah, like I mentioned, there is a buy signal there on the 1 hour. So odds are this is probably going to keep pushing up higher and higher. But I'm not going to take a trade until I have a confirmation that it's actually going to push in that direction. So other than that, I think that's it, guys. So if you guys have any other questions, put them in the chat right now. Otherwise, I'm going to log off early for today because there's just really not much for us to look at. The problem with me looking at the charts when there's no volatility is I'm going to start to look for something that's not there, right? I'm sure you guys have been through that where you guys are so anxious to trade that you literally try to find something in the chart. Like here, there's no entries available, right? But if I keep looking at it, I'm going to try to figure out ways to force myself to want to take a buy when I don't want to take a buy yet because there's just no entry. So yeah, guys, if you guys have any other questions and I don't answer them here, don't worry because I'm going to be back tomorrow morning. If you guys are brand new here, just a reminder, I do go live every weekday from 6:30 a.m. until like maybe 11 or 12, depending on how the market's moving. And I trade live every morning. So obviously right now volatility is too low. It's not a great time to trade. But tomorrow morning, like definitely we're going to be on the horse and we're going to be, catching some scalps. So I think that's about it for now, guys. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out, on Telegram or send me an email. And just a reminder, if you guys want access to these indicators and if you guys want to learn the same strategy that we've been applying here, basically where everyone's been able to produce these profits here, right? These are from today. Sisu was scalping US 30. He took this buy and he locked in 813 to kick off the trading week. And then last week, if you guys watched any of the videos here or any of the posts, like this is everyone's profits from Thursday and Friday, right? Like this might seem unbelievable, but we do this every single day. Like this is Jazz right here. This is one person, Jazz right there. He locked in about 2,000 off that. And there's a ton of people here. Eric over here. This is Eric. He locked in 2,000 as well. Who else is here? Here's Cheryl. She locked in 9,000. This is another person making it with K2. That's Cheryl. Eunice over here, it's another person, brand new person as well, locked in 3,500. And you guys can see here that, this is consistent. It's not like a one-time thing. Braden over here, he locked in about 1,200 on that one day. And then here's Cheryl's profit. This is crazy because Cheryl's only been trading with K2 for like a couple months now. These are her profits from last week. See, February 20th to February 26th, 23,000, right? Unbelievable. But if you guys hang around long enough, you'll probably be able to find success here as well. And obviously this is completely free. I go on live for you guys every day. This is completely free. You guys can just copy my trades if you like. But if you guys want to if you guys want to apply this yourself, it's available to you. So anyways, thanks for showing up, guys. I'm going to log off for now and then I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. I might log on a little bit later to catch some scalps. If I do log on later, just make sure that you have your notifications turned on YouTube because I'm not going to post that link. If I go live later, I'm just going to go live. I'm not going to tell anybody. And if you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel, you guys will get an email from YouTube letting you know that, hey, Shawn's going live right now. And if you guys want to watch this live, then they'll give you the link. So just keep that in mind. And if you guys want to, watch all of my other live sessions when I don't post a link, just make sure to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on notifications so that YouTube knows, because I don't necessarily post a link for every single session, just for the main sessions. But yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. If you guys have questions, just reach out. Otherwise, I will catch you guys back here tomorrow morning. So